Those getaway vehicle? What do you got?
I traced its registration. It comes up as a, get this, mail transport. A Somali civilian helicopter.
Not even the right type of aircraft. So the registration is fake. Well, par for the course for Desperado, I guess.
I wonder why they bothered with the tilt rotor in the first place.
Why not? They can take off and land without an airstrip, virtually anywhere. Hover, too. Meanwhile, they have the speed and range of a fixed-wing plane, or close to it. And they're quiet. You don't get all that BVI noise from the blades like with a normal copter.
Aren't they more accident-prone, though?
They were. Used to call them Widowmakers. The rotor tech is really complex. There've been a lot of mishaps over the years, but each one's helped perfect the design. These days, they're as safe as any other aircraft, helicopter or fixed wing. Most of VTOL's bad rep is left over from the thrust vectoring jets of the past.
Ah, no wonder you know all this. Says here you took down a Harrier once. Wait, by yourself?
Well, I did have a rocket launcher. Wasn't so tough while it was in hover mode.
I bet you're just being modest. Must have been a pretty crazy op you were on.
You don't know the half of it.
What's up? Okay, save complete. Don't let your guard down, okay?
A most fascinating opponent, wouldn't you say?
What did you make of it, Doc?
Well, everything it said seems feasible enough. It's true all UGs feature high-level AI these days. Given enough time to adapt and learn, a neural AI could certainly become able to comprehend speech.
But what, John, it could... I have...
Ah, yes, of course.
Was...
I saw some... When
Yeah.
Indeed, after and that...
Sure. Doc, that wolf...
Why,
just...
well, we assume... But,
Us,
of course,
but let's... Cause if...
in your heart,
So it...
no, this, I could... If it...
So it...
I would then...
Glad... That was a hammerhead, right? I know it's the first canard rotor wingcraft to go into general use.
Mm-hmm. Capable of taking off vertically like a helicopter with a fixed wing mode for speedy flight. A jet nozzle on the rotor provides the propulsion that spins the rotor and keeps the craft hovering. During flights, the rotor is fixed, becoming the craft's main wing. The tail wings and canards, the wings on the far front, provide lift while the craft is changing modes.
Pretty wild. And the hammerhead's the only one out there.
The design began as DARPA-funded research. The craft they designed could take off and hover well enough, but they could never figure out how to handle going over to fixed wing. The project was cancelled in 2006, but AT Corps apparently picked up where they left off.
Sounds like a troubled development.
But worth the effort. Unlike a helicopter or tilt rotor, the machinery spinning the rotor is exceedingly simple. Not only does it cut down on weight, but maintenance is made easier. In fixed-wing mode, it is no different from any other jet aircraft, giving it a decisive speed advantage. I must say it's well-suited as an escort to a tilt rotor, too.
I can see you're a fan.
Oh, I'm a fan of anything imaginatively designed. As a scientist, it pushes all my buttons, one would say. In terms of innovation, it shares a great deal with the Triebflügel, a World War II-era German concept craft. It, too, utilized the tip-jet concept.
Doesn't look like it has any business being in the air, though. I'd be kind of nervous riding in one.
Oh, but that's just what would make the ride such fun, no? I'm a firm believer in the case for more pie-in-the-sky experimentation like this. We live in an age of UGs, after all. We don't even need test pilots.
No one's gonna get on if it crashes, Doc.
My apologies, Raiden. I realize we never concluded our discussion on carbon nanotube muscle fibers.
Didn't we?
CNT drove major innovation as previous, but this pick
They took
as hands of course.
long
Do not
copy. Doc, all the UG talk got me thinking. Why don't we see more manned gear?
I'm since
So what?
well true.
But aren't you...
On the this race wide.
Now...
Oh, so as I
One thing about fighting these cyborgs, Doctor. It's... strange in a way.
Oh? How do you mean?
I can slice them to pieces. At least it's...
Then I
Maybe.
well, even
But...
the
Well, I...
Raiden, something I meant to ask in our last chat. Did you consider opting for emotion restraints? I can understand one might be...
Out to be lose your board. Well, maybe they abusive,
True.
but on even. Hey, Doc. Kev mentioned a lot of the high-ranking military were brain-jacked. Can you give me any more on that?
Well, it is not my area of expertise, but I have working knowledge of such matters, yes. Much of it is similar to cybernetics, you know.
Makes sense. A cyborg's frame is reading signals directly from the brain.
Indeed. Brainjacking employs nanomachines to stop these signals from reaching a normal body. The pilot can then substitute their own signals and control the victim. They can govern all motor movement, but not the victim's thoughts. It is not mind control. More like a puppet. The subject will not move on their own. The pilot must send control signals.
You can't just implant an idea like a hypnotist.
Precisely. You must manipulate them directly. Now, there are several methods for doing this. The pilot can act out the desired behavior and send the resulting electric impulses in real time. For example, the master raises his right hand, the victim does the same. The master says, Arschgeige, and the victim does as well.
Yeah, I get the idea, Doc.
Another method is to set an AI in control as a victim. Less convincing, but less labor-intensive. The AI can access the subject's memory center, at least, to recognize acquaintances and the like.
But anyone looks really closely, and the gig is up.
Mm-hmm. Mimicking behavior from surface memories is difficult, you know. Quite difficult. AIs are still very poor at replicating more subtle cues, such as the manner of speaking. As a result, often the victim can barely pass as a human, much less any certain individual. With the current tech, a passing acquaintance might be fooled, but not a close friend. Not for long.
Good. The idea of AIs controlling people is bad enough. At least I'll be able to tell if it happens to someone I know. So, Doc, if brainjacking can access someone's memory, can't we basically see everything in their past?
Well, that would depend on precisely what you mean by see their past. The brain does not store every single detail the senses take in, you know. It records highlights, further simplified into a highly symbolic form, all to lighten the amount of data. We know how the brain reacts to what it was previously aware of. We can even gauge the emotion provoked. But reproducing memories? No. I've seen little progress in research to this area.
But say we directly linked my brainstem with the nanomachines of a brainjacking victim. Couldn't I read their memories?
There have been attempts at such things, but it is not so simple, you know. The connections between successive memories make up one's identity. If you disturb that... For example, say we remove all memories you have of being yourself and replace them with my own.
Yeah.
You would feel you was a great Dr. Wilhelm Vogt. You would behave very similar to how I do. However, what if instead you kept your own memories and we added mine to them? You would feel you are both Raiden and Wilhelm Vogt. Suddenly your memories would not lead one to the next. You would be confused, disoriented, without a sense of which man you were, and thus how you should behave. So, you see, the very concept is not practical for most military applications. In trying to read an enemy's mind, you would, in a sense, become that enemy.
You wouldn't know which side you were fighting for.
Precisely. Cyborg memories are completely different, of course. A cyborg's visuals are often monitored by outside parties, much as we do with yours. This visual data can, of course, be recorded for later analysis. All with full video and all in the holographic memory in their left hands.
So you can just sit back and enjoy the movie?
Well, it's not always recorded, mind you. And even then, there's the issue of locating the desired data buried inside all that video. You might need to comb 10 days of recordings from 10 cyborgs to find a single person or document. That is 100 days of work. Even replay double speed, 50 days.
Can't you automate the search?
Of course. You can flag any time a certain face appears or if certain words are said. But the process is not perfect, and it still requires time, you know. Besides which, often one doesn't know what they are searching for until they find it. But should you ever require a search through your memory, Raiden, I would be happy to assist you.
Yeah, For a modest fee, I'm sure. I have to say, Doc, it's almost scary everything nanomachines are capable of. SOP, brainjacking.
Oh, but the cyborg is capable of even more.
You think?
I do. With nanomachines. You know this name has always bothered me, nanomachine. They are much more than smaller versions of existing machines. So much more. You cannot just take a motor and make it all teeny tiny, you know? A human chromosome is 10 micrometers long, roughly. A nanometer is 1/100th that length. These devices must be crafted at the molecular level to work at that scale. It is far more to do with molecular biology than mechanical engineering.
Okay, Doc, but where are you going with it?
It is, however, now possible to create proteins that simulate viral functions, effectively fooling natural human cells into taking on a wide range of less conventional characteristics, boosting strength or resilience or even regenerative ability. Not to CNT muscle fiber levels, of course. After all, these molecules and proteins can only make use of the materials at hand. That is to say, the atoms that naturally occur within the human body.
I'm not sure I follow. Are you saying cyborg tech is already more advanced than nanomachines?
Well, not necessarily. But the potential for future growth seems much greater, does it not? Natural means can only rearrange what is already there. Boost one ability too far, and you might take away from another. If the human race is to truly evolve, I believe we must shed this DNA-driven organic flesh and exchange it for something far more functional. Cyborg technology seems better suited to this purpose, at least in terms of military applications. But then, who knows? A revolution in nanotechnology could be occurring even as we speak. Progress rarely takes the form we expect, you know? Such is the great frustration and glory of science.
Doc, that wolf UG.
Why,
Just-
well, listen, assume, but,
Us-
of course,
but let's- 'cause if-
in the new heart,
So it-
no, this, I could, if it,
So it-
I would then...
Glad.
Right then, let's recap.
Shit.
First, this derp.
Head.
Right then,
Shit.
first, this derp.
Head.
Right then, head.
What's up? No? Did you?
No, just...